Welcome to Stars, Stories in Life, the podcast where we talk about stars, stories, and life. And today's the episode where we're going to talk about the stars.
Yes, we are going to start with the astrology forecast. I know
Mm-hmm.
I usually do weekly forecasts, but I'm kind of feeling myself and I'm just going with the flow of the stars. And today, the forecast will be from the 22nd of July to the end of the month, which is 31st July. So there are 31 months in July, right?
31 months? Not months, but days, perhaps.
Yeah, there are. Yes, yes. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
there.
yes, so it's from the 22nd of July to 31st of July. Um, and I'm going to start with what we already have. So, last week we talked about Chiron, we talked about Mars, we talked about Sun entering Leo, and I
Yes.
remember ending with the Sun making so many aspects with the biggest players, Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter.
And Jupiter, yeah.
Yes, so it's still kind of there. That energy is still there, and the aspects are not necessarily harmonious or easy. It's a very challenging kind of energy. So we might be in this frame of mind where either we are challenging people in authority or we are getting challenged somehow. Um, and there might also be certain issues with optimism. I know that optimism usually is not an issue, but the energy I'm feeling this week is like over optimism, I would say. So that those are the kinds of energy that are kind of sweeping this week. So getting to the new aspects, right? So we know that Sun is entering a Leo, so we will all be feeling um, I don't want to say royal. We definitely will be feeling very, creative and playful. I think we will be in touch with our inner child in many ways. So I would really say that work on it. I mean, if you're feeling creative, playful, you want to throw a little bit of tantrum, I would say find a safe space where you can do that. And safe is the key word here. Then what I see for me, what I see in the sky right now is Mercury. Mercury is kind of, I wouldn't say the showstopper, but it's kind of making these interesting connections with other big players in the sky. So first off, Mercury is making this connection with Jupiter around the end of the month, and then also making a connection with Neptune, and then also making a connection with Uranus. And they are sort of technically nice connections. They are harmonious, definitely. But I feel like the whole combination itself, like the way it's making this connection to Uranus and Neptune and then Jupiter, I feel like this is going to give a confusing vibe to us. It's like, what's going on? Is it good? Is it bad? I don't get it. Like, kind of like that. So, for example, with Uranus, I would say that definitely there's something good that can happen. Like, you might get some good news. You might really get this idea that was kind of like stuck in your subconscious, but it's kind of like getting that, it's kind of coming out of its cage. You'll probably be making really interesting conversations with people. So that's where I see the energy really playing out. With Jupiter, I feel like, I mean, usually Mercury, Jupiter is is a good thing, but because it's in opposition and because Jupiter is in Capricorn, I feel like we will be a little over optimistic. Um, we might overwork ourselves, probably. We might like really take a risk that we shouldn't be taking. So we might think like nobody's getting sick in my environment, so I think COVID-19 is a hoax. You know, feelings like feel those kinds of feelings, or like seeing a friend on the beach and you're like, are you supposed to be on the beach at this time? You know, like you'll be things externally might be happening, and that would make you like kind of question reality, and not in a, it could be in a pessimistic way because you know Mercury is also making this connection with Neptune, but it could also be like, oh, maybe everything is okay and I'm just, you know, blowing it out of proportion. Maybe everything is great, um, and I'm just paranoid about everything. So I would say that not to push your luck,
Yeah.
right? Don't push your luck. Things are not really as great as they seem. They might seem like that for a while, and we want to believe in that, right? We so want to believe in things getting better and things getting positive. And but I would ask you to be careful. I would ask you to not be a little bit find ways where you can feel a little bit centered and practical. And everybody, I think, is different in that regard. Some people find themselves feeling more grounded through meditation. Some people, you know, cook. Some people exercise. So you know the Mars energy. Um, so yeah, I mean, whatever ritual makes you feel more grounded, I would say really this would be the right time to do all those things. Um, okay, now moving on to Mercury, making this connection with Neptune. Well, usually a trine like this, that's the aspect, would make you feel really inspired, would make you feel really compassionate. You'll be feeling a lot of compassion for others. You want to do things for others. You might feel intellectually inspired. You want to read things, but not anything that involves too many details, but things that will help you to form these stories and fantasies, or or like maybe feel a little bit more spiritual nowadays, and you may be talking about your spirituality with other people. So that's the feeling there, definitely. But again, as I was saying, this combination, um, because this is not an isolated thing. You know, it's not just Mercury trining Neptune, because it's also making this connection with Jupiter and Uranus, and then the Sun, in opposition with these big players. I feel like I'm kind of glad that Mercury is making this connection with Neptune, because we do need spirituality right now. We do need to talk about spirituality. So that's really good. But again, it has to be a balance. It has to be this Neptune vibration of inspiration, of compassion, with more Saturnian energy, right? Being grounded, more, or so. My advice is yes, be spiritual, meditate, talk about your spirituality, talk about things that inspire you. Bask in your ideas, your unconventional ideas and interesting conversations, definitely. But at the same time, do these rituals that keep you feel grounded. Practice wisdom. Inspiration and wisdom together is an amazing combination. It can really enrich your soul. So I would say do both. Grounding rituals and spirit, and also inspiring rituals that really uplift you, spiritual. So we have to do both, because we do any one of them too much, the whole balance is out of order, right? So just be careful with that, and I think that we will go by this transit smoothly. One more thing, the new moon. So the new moon has already happened on the 21st. It
Yeah.
was on the
It's
20th.
today.
It was on the 20th or the 21st of July, right? Depends on where you live.
Yeah.
So this is, as I talked about last time, this is the second new moon in the sign of Cancer. And yes, a lot of astrologers are saying that this is a second chance, like a second look at what you started in the previous new moon, which was in June. Uh, I would, I would agree a little bit. Yes, it is definitely a second look into that, but it's not something new. It's not completely brand new. It's not completely different. Okay, so whatever you started, whatever intentions you set in the last new moon, um, I just hope that you take another look at that, not just jump into something else. And I think intention setting is really good, but my advice on setting intentions on new moon would be um, to make it really not just like about material things, you know, like we all have our spiritual struggles. You know, some of us struggle with I don't know, jealousy or you know, self-doubt or things like that. I would say look at the moon as your mother, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of asking things from your mother, I would say talk about your emotions, you know, talk about your spiritual struggles with the moon. And instead of setting goals, I would say, yes, set intentions. I feel like some people confuse the two. I feel like some people confuse intentions with goals. I would say goals are very Mars energy. You know, you set, or very Capricornian too in some way, Saturnian too. Like, you know, you set a structure, you set a plan, and then you go get it. But with moon energy, I would say it's about really, really delving into your spirit. It's really, really about delving into your consciousness and talking about your feelings and talking about your emotional and spiritual struggles and conversing that with the moon. And I think then you will really see these changes in this new moon cycles. Every time the new moon comes around, there, you'll see the change. Um, So make it more like a conversation with the moon than like, oh, this is what I want, or this is my goal, you know? And also, yes, take another look at what you thought about, what changes happened in the last new moon in Cancer. So I would end on that. Um, just one word: balance. No, two words: balance and safe.
Mm-hmm.
These are the two words I would say to think about.
Sounds like a good thing to think about. So, so then the end of the month, starting right now, we're going to be feeling better. We're going to
Yes.
be very optimistic. So we have to be like checking ourselves a lot, which would be a very good idea. No, like
Yeah. I mean, the optimism is not necessarily coming out of good things happening. It's more of a desperation,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
So we don't know. We don't know whether good things are happening or not. We just like so clouded right now a little bit. We want to believe in good things, and that's I think hope is good. I don't want to like really discourage anybody from having hope. I'm just saying that we at this time it's really really important that we keep our balance between inspiration and groundedness. And I don't think they're two different things. I feel like they're two different energies, and when they come together they can make us wise,
yeah,
because groundedness is not necessarily wisdom. Sometimes you know, elevating yourself to inspiration is wisdom, right? So I'm not saying like either one is wisdom, but when they come together, I think that's a power combo.
Yeah.
And this week, I feel like this week or the end of this period of this, the end of July, it will be a lesson of balance. It will be a lesson of compassion, showing compassion towards others and showing compassion towards ourselves, and finding that balance between uh, fantasy and groundedness, between inspiration and wisdom, and being playful, getting in touch with our inner child, and really treating ourselves, but in a way that is compassionate, not indulgent.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. So let's see what the cards want to say. What is the general vibe when it comes to love and relationships right now? Well, for the next week. We have the Queen of Swords. See her?
Yeah.
So the Queen of Swords, I don't think we've had her before,
No.
have we? The most of the times, as we've always known and we've always been aware, swords aren't the most positive of cards. They are very much about conflict, about like double-edged situations. Something that looks good, but it has some danger in the background. Love is that way. Relationships are that way. So it makes sense that we almost always get a sword. So the Queen of Swords is about being intelligent and independent, which can be good and not so good. Right now, I believe like a lot of people have been either kicked out of relationships or are now out of relationships, or have discovered things about family members that they no longer want to be associated with, because of the movements, because of the sickness, because of everything that's been going on for the past 3-4 months. So now we're in a place where we're basically putting the voices away. The oh, you're not good enough, the oh, they're gone now, so now you're not worthy of anybody caring about you or whatever. And we're gonna be like, you know what? This is me time. That's what we have to do. This is me. Like, I'm taking care of me right now because it's been a hard couple of months.
Yes.
We've all been going through it one way or another. So that means that right now, at least for the next week, instead of being present in relationships that we have to be thinking about ourselves a little bit more this week. We're going to be feeling that pull towards others, but we're going to have to restrain that because that's not what we need, because we're still healing. We're not healed yet. And we've already done the work. If we did everything that we should have done last week,
Yes.
we've done the work, so now we need to work on us. Because we made sure everyone else is okay, now we have to make sure we're okay.
Yes.
So that's where we're at.
Definitely. I mean, this is like 200% on board with you, in every sense, like personally and astrologically, because another big theme of this year, I would say, would be self-care.
So much self-care.
Yes.
So much self-care. Like, if I try to reach forward a little bit, there's a lot of like brown muddied area when it comes to like the self. We're all being pulled out of like the sludge of the past couple of years. And now you got to clean up. So to clean up, you got to do whatever's necessary to cleanse all of your being. If that means taking a nice long bath every other day, lucky you have a tub. Not everybody has a tub, and that's just sad. Or if it's, meditation or just treating yourself once a week to like a semi-expensive cup of coffee, whatever it takes to make you remember that you love yourself as
Yes.
well, you know.
Yes.
So
Compassion,
that's
not indulgence.
compassion for yourself, because these past couple of years have been so much about other people. Like, that's how I feel like it's been for many people. It's all thinking about everyone else and not thinking about your own future at this time. So we need to be like, oh no, okay, so me, like what? You know, even if it's just like, okay, what am I gonna do next week?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what am I gonna do for me? Like, I know I'm going to go and I'm going to call my mother so that she doesn't worry. I'm going to talk to my spouse so that they know that I love them. But like, what's compassion for me? What do I need?
Yeah.
Right? Not what you need from other people, what you need from yourself.
Yes, yes. I think this is also a very good time to kind of
Mhm.
define compassion for
Yeah,
yourself.
exactly. Like, what is compassion for you? What
Yeah.
is it? Just saying, okay, I'm not going to wash the dishes right now. Sometimes that's all you need.
Yes.
Whatever it is, what you have to do. Like, you have to take a step back and not do so much. Do you have to go do something out in the world? Do you have to get your hair done? You know, what is it that shows you that you're thinking about yourself?
Yeah.
And that you're important, even if it's just to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That you're worthy of compassion even from yourself. Your harshest critic, your most critical person, you. Right?
Yeah. And
So,
I want to make a point about this. Like, yes, there is a voice in our head sometimes which criticizes us. But I would invite our listeners and our viewers to kind of inspect whether that's really your
yeah,
voice or is it someone else's.
exactly. Is it things that someone else put in your head, which I'm sure a lot of us have.
Uh-huh.
I
Because
know
some
I do.
voices are of, early life caregivers, whether that's a mother, a father, a brother, a teacher, maybe who was not so kind to us, and we absorb that into our subconscious. So when you do criticize yourself, instead of calling it an inner critic, I invite you to name that person, to find that person. Who was this person who was probably overly criticizing you in your early formation years? Um, so maybe I don't think that's your voice. I think you are compassionate towards yourself, but this voice that you have, you know, fostered all this time is not serving you anymore. And that's not
Yeah.
you, someone else. So
Yeah.
ask them to take a seat, not bother
Mm-hmm.
you.
Exactly. All right. So next we have finances. What can we look forward to when it comes to things we have to pay or money that's going to come our way? It's going to be good. We have a very bent Ace of Wands. Like, we all know that aces are probably some of the most, like, not necessarily telling cards, but they're probably the loudest when it comes to their message, because it's like, this is me, and other cards are like, oh yeah, we're this. So this card is very much of beginnings, power, creation. That's what the Ace of Wands is. No wonder it kind of looks like a penis.
He does?
Yes, it does.
I thought it was a person.
It's a
No?
wand. No, it's a wand.
I thought it was a skinny person.
It could be like a weird looking person, but I either see a finger or a penis. But maybe that's just because my brain is that
Yeah.
way. I'm nasty. Anyway, so, ooh, so creativity, power, and beginnings. what could this mean for our finances? That means a lot of things depending on your situation, because everybody right now is in a lot of different situations. I know a couple of friends, online friends, who don't have a job yet. They're looking, and last week it was just the right amount, I think, something like that. And this week we're not going to be having such good financial boons, as you could say, as we were having like the past couple of weeks. So it's going to be a little less than what you need, because more than likely something's going to come up this week.
Okay.
So that's probably it. So you're going to have to look for ways to get around that, you know? So it's time to start thinking creatively, you know, take the initiative, you know, pay attention to the budget that you're going to have this week or the next couple of weeks. Money's going to be tight at the end of this month, I feel. That's just how it's going to be.
I think the last couple of times that we've been having blessings and boons, I hope that we saved.
Yeah, saved a little bit.
I mean, hopefully. We could. I mean, I'm not saying that we are, you know, overindulgent. I'm just saying that I hope that we were able to save.
So, just a little bit. That's all you're going to need. Like, yeah. I don't feel like there's going to be a lot of like you need to replace a car or there's the washing machine will explode. More close to maybe a flat tire or
minor. So maybe
so it's a minor unexpected payment. Something that
a little bit from our.
Because it's gonna take a good enough chunk that you're just gonna be like, ugh, now my entire budget's just.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't plan for this. So it's one of those times where the universe is going to test you to see how good your pre-planning is.
Oh, well, okay. That's fine.
That already happened to me today, so I'm, like, ahead of all of you.
I can't think of anything. My challenge has mostly been with my existence and everybody else, not just mine. Everybody else.
You're having a very mild existential crisis right now.
Yeah, I mean, what is an existential crisis exactly by definition?
It's when you're questioning your entire existence.
Like, why am I here? Kind of like that.
Yeah, like, why am I here? What is the point?
I'm not questioning why am I here. I've already answered that question. I am more like thinking how that makes sense. No.
Sucks right now. That's just the way it is.
I'm trying to like think on a global, universal scale. I was just trying to yeah, you know what crisis I'm having? I'm having an intellectual crisis. I'm trying to merge the ancient studies, you know, with what we know right now and the philosophy. So it's this balance that I was talking about before. I feel like it's kind of coming in meaning to me. So, you know, my when I say intellectual crisis, it's like, you know, I'm reading all this stuff. I'm reading philosophy and mythology and astrology and numerology and all the ologies that we know.
Ologies, yeah.
Yes, but mostly in ancient studies, right? And I'm trying to make that make sense with what I know and what's real. Yeah. What is tangible, rather, not real, but what is tangible. And it doesn't fit.
No.
It doesn't fit. And I'm like, I don't understand. Anything.
I feel your feel, but for different reasons. Like, I'm trying, like, part of me is like, I need to get more into spirituality. I'm feeling like I'm missing that little bit of ritual in
Yes.
my life.
Mm.
But I don't want to go back to Catholicism. I don't feel like it. It's a lot, and it's an hour of my Sunday that I don't want to.
I can tell you something like kind of like, because I'm a little ahead when it comes to reading those religious texts. I can tell you that I don't think how fruitful going back to Catholicism will be. I mean, going back to intellectual. I mean, I don't think Catholicism has the answer. I mean,
no, it doesn't.
He talks a lot about how we evolved as a species sociologically. Definitely, both Catholicism and Protestantism have the they kind of fuel the whole sociological evolution that we have, even economic to some extent.
Yeah, they have.
So yes, those answers are there. So if you read the history of Catholicism and Protestantism and whatever the Crusades and stuff like that, you'll be like, oh, makes sense why we are so shitheads right now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, but then it doesn't answer.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help.
Yeah, exactly.
Knowing this information doesn't help me.
Yeah, so, it's like, okay, you'll be like, yeah, okay, I guess we kind of
we suck.
We were heading this way. Like we brought this upon ourselves.
Yeah, we brought this upon ourselves.
But
we allowed this to happen.
Okay then, but
now what?
Okay, so should we like something?
What do we do? What do we do with this information?
Yes, there is this like, and I want to ask everyone this question. I want to ask everyone, how many times a day do you think about death? And I know that it sounds morbid, right? It's not, I'm not talking about dying. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that think about your death. Think about other people's death. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just, you know that.
In general, yeah.
That's all I'm saying. We all know that, but it's always in the back of our heads, right? So my question is, how many times, okay, I actually have one question, but it's like question.
It's got pieces, yeah.
So how many times a day do you think about death? And how does that make you feel? And how do you deal with that emotion? And after dealing with that emotion, how differently do you live your life?
We should ask Mark this question.
I want to ask everyone. Like yesterday,
I want to know his answer. Like my answer is kind of boring because death has never really been something that really bothers me, because death is half an ending, but also a beginning of something else. That's just the way the death is. Even according to tarot, the death card is the ending of a cycle and the beginning of another. So, like, taking, for example, the death of a pet, which is, probably one of the lower steps of sadness for many.
But who is that beginning for? Is that your beginning into something else, or is it
it's just
beginning of worms eating your dead body and I don't know, partying?
I mean, you could say that, because the end of your life is the beginning of the life of the insects that live and bacteria that live inside you. But also the end of your life is the beginning of someone else's life without you, basically.
Right.
That's the idea. And so other people will have to learn to live without you, and that's just how it is. But you're going to forever live in their memory. So you'll be alive in their mind until they get Alzheimer's and forget you.
So I know that when I ask this question, people will probably be well, I believe that there is heaven or hell after death, or there is an afterlife, or there is purgatory, or reincarnation. And baby, I come from the whole story of reincarnation, right?
Yes.
And I'm very familiar with
You are the
all,
scholar of the
yes,
reincarnation.
I am familiar with all the stories of existence after death. I don't want to say life, but some kind of permanence after death, right? And I like all of them. I really do. And I just don't know, right? I don't know exactly if that's the case. And I don't want to depend on it. I don't want to depend on that story to work out for me. I want to live my life in a way that is compatible with the worst case scenario, which is everything ends, right?
Yeah. You don't know when, but it's gonna.
Yeah, because once you are compatible or you kind of deal with that worst case scenario, um, I mean, let's say that reincarnation is true. I mean, you have nothing to lose there, buddy.
Yeah.
So that's basically my idea, and I want to know that idea. So like, so the assumption here is, the premise here is that everything ends when we die.
Yeah.
Our consciousness is over, our body, of course, is over.
Well, that's like the obvious.
Transcendence.
Yeah.
That's just, how do you deal with that emotion? How does that make you feel? And then how differently do you live your life after that? If you make any changes at all.
Yeah.
Because I've heard answers before. Somebody said, oh, I just drink and I drink and party and get involved in menial tasks so that I don't have to think about it. But that's not an answer. I mean, that's
that's avoidance of the issue.
That's coping. That's not a coping mechanism. You're literally avoiding the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, not avoiding. Like, you've confronted it. You think about it.
And you decided nah.
And then you feel some sort of way about it, and then you make certain choices. You make certain decisions. I want to know what those choices and decisions are and the feelings around it. That's what I want to know. And I feel like this could be really helpful. I think we don't talk about it because I know it sounds morbid, but I'm not saying that we're going to die tomorrow. I'm just saying that we will die
But we
eventually.
could, you don't know that.
We don't know
the thing.
exactly.
We don't know anything. And if there's something that I took from the 2 books that I read of Ask a Mortician on YouTube, she has 2 books. She has one called Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, which is great. And then she has the other book is called Will My Cats Eat My Eyeballs? Questions that children ask about death. Mm-hmm. And so in these 2 books, she says that us confronting our own mortality and the mortality of others around us is something that, as a modern culture, we keep trying to avoid thinking about because it makes us sad, because it scares us, emotions that are valid but also not.
But it's like that in the beginning. Only like the first time you ever asked yourself about death. That's when it sucks. Yeah. But then it's gotta suck before it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And most people don't get past that initial point because they don't want to. Like, they don't want to think about it. And for people like you and me who are like, why don't we think about it? Like, it's something you have to think about. Like, if, let's hope not, if the entire area where my parents live like explodes randomly, and that entire side of my family is just gone.
Yeah.
Okay, so what am I gonna do now?
Cry yourself to death.
Yeah, I'm gonna cry, obviously, because sad, don't have my parents no more. But then I'm also gonna be like, okay, are there bodies to deal with? What do I have to do with them? We also have the tangible and
Yes.
financial parts of death, which we also have to deal with, because
Yeah.
and you have to deal with it before it happens, because the worst thing is a sudden death and there's no preparation,
That's
right?
the worst thing, actually.
That's like the worst case scenario is that, like, not just that the person died in a tragic manner and was completely unexpected, it's that there was nothing set in place for any arrangements of any sort. Nobody that could say, hey, take my grave, I'm not dead yet, use it, or here's $500 for the cremation, or I think in the US it's like $50-$80 for just a cremation, something like that, maybe 100. We'll just cremate them, we'll put them on the mantle and cry, or however you're gonna do it, or here's the money for the funeral. Because you see so often these on Facebook, so often there's the, I need money for so and so's funeral, and so and so was 80 years old and had nothing prepared, and now the family is grieving. They're not making good financial decisions because you're going to be taken advantage of, and that's awful.
This is so important. We definitely need to make
an entire
we need to
episode on
make a
it.
plan for our death, as in not for us, of course, because we're dead, but like for the people who will be succeeding us, right?
Yeah.
And another thing that I feel is that helps with the question of death and talking about it with our loved ones is that I think we would be living very different lives. We would be making very different choices when we confront that question.
Yes.
Because a lot of the things we do right now is because we are either scared of death or we are anxious of death.
Exactly. Like, let's consider, I don't remember where they live. Somewhere in southern Mexico, the people who pull the bodies out like once a year and clean them and put them in different clothes. This is a thing that happens. Okay, so there's a community in somewhere in southern Mexico or a Latin country. I can't remember. I'll look it up later because I don't remember right now. Where their relationship with death is very, very personal. So they have accepted a person's going to die, but just because they died doesn't mean that the person is completely gone, right? So they believe that once a year, the person's spirit can, if it desires, come and be with the family for, like, I don't remember how much time. And so during that, like, it's a week, like, celebration where they'll pull the bodies out. We're talking little dried mummies, like totally like just dry.
But that's Mexican, isn't it? The Day of the Dead.
It's Day of the Dead, but like a little bit more. So they pull the body out and they clean the body respectfully. They're cleaning it. They put oils on it. They change the body's clothes, and then they place them in the house, usually lying down somewhere. Yeah, they bring it into the house, and then the children who haven't met the deceased get to meet the deceased, and they tell stories about the relative who had passed.
Wow. Oh my God.
And sometimes you'll have like several relatives, depending on how long the body lasts. Because sometimes, it doesn't. And usually it's like one generation, so just grandma, usually.
Okay.
So as long as there are people who remember who the person was and what they did, then the body is kept. So it's not usually like
the fucking photo. Why do I have to bring out the fucking skeleton?
I don't know. That's just the way they do it. So they will have the body and whatever, and then at the end they'll put the body back in the grave, and everybody gets to say goodbye, see you next year, and they do like little like rituals and stuff, and they kill a bull ? Pigs. It's pigs. So depending on what the family can afford, they'll kill one or several pigs, and then that pig will be the feast for the end of the ceremony.
I just feel like this is an elaborate ritual to just eat pigs.
Yeah, I know, right? I
Because
think
I'm
because
very
where they are, the pig is the most expensive animal, so you have to kill the most expensive animal, which is the pig.
very familiar with that ritual, not in a death way, but
Uh-huh.
this whole sacrificing animals for the gods thing. I've seen
Oh,
it
yeah.
way too many times.
I know that's such an old thing.
Yeah, and my dad always used to say, like, this is just the priest's excuse to eat some nice meat. And I was like, that actually totally makes sense.
You're like, well, I don't blame them.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I understand the greed. I understand I don't know, the need, I guess.
Uh-huh. But like,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's just
So
like a whole elaborate story and things. No, but anyway, coming back to the skeleton, that's really interesting. That's
it
really
is
interesting.
like, if I can, I'm going to look because I know that Ask a Mortician, she does a video on it. It's not a very long video, only semi-informative, because it's like they keep most of the rituals and stuff to themselves because it's very personal. It's very, very spiritual. It's like, they feel very protective about these, like the prayers that are said, and mostly it's a lot of talking to the deceased person.
What would you want to have done with your body after you're dead?
Ideally, I want to be donated to a body farm.
Okay.
So that's what I want. I got to see if there's one around here. I'm not sure, but that's what I want to. I want to be the body that they leave in a specific type of situation to see how it decays, so that I can help science. So instead of like removing organs, because I don't think my organs are that good anyway. It'll be like, oh, just see how I rot, and maybe I'll help some forensic scientist be like, aha, now I know what happened to the victim.
Yeah.
That's what I want to contribute with my body.
That's nice. And you've already told your husband about it.
Yeah, and he's like, well, find out where, and we'll see if there's papers you have to fill or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know where. At least not here. Huh? Yeah, I have to do the work, basically. I'm telling him, no, you. And he's like, no, you want it, you find it. And then I forget, and I don't look.
Yeah, I asked him, I was like, what do you want me to do with your body when you die? And he's like, I don't care. I'm like, okay, I'm burning that shit.
He said, you're going to be burned. Yeah, I already know what I have to do with.
I love cremation.
Cremation is so cool.
I know it sounds so fucking bad. I know how that sounded, but honey, I love cremation. It's so purifying. I cannot explain.
Fire is awesome.
Yes, fire is awesome. And then you're dead, and then they burn you to ashes, bitch. I'm like,
and then they put you in a little baggie.
or like in an urn or something. I don't know what they do. It depends, I think.
Yeah, it depends. Usually it's a plastic bag inside of an urn, because if it's just inside of the urn, it will spill. Then you have ashes everywhere.
Yes. And yes, I love cremation. So I'm like, if somebody, like, for example, my boyfriend said like he doesn't care, I'd be like, bitch, cremation. I want to see that thing burn.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a sadistic thing. It's just I feel I feel like it's a purification ritual.
Yeah, it's cleansing to watch something burn.
And it transforms into a different energy.
Mm-hmm.
And to some extent, you get evaporated, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you kind of get into a little bit of earth, a little bit of air, a little bit of, the elements are kind of coming together, kind of giving you a farewell.
Yeah.
I like that. I really do.
Yeah. It's really nice. Your energy being transformed into something else.
Yes. I don't like the visual of me becoming worm food. Although I understand that it's completely natural and it's a process. But just, I don't know.
I mean, the worms need food.
I don't want to be worm food.
It's nasty. I know, it's gross.
And yes, I want to be cremated, and I want to be either. I told my boyfriend, I was like, either you go to a really high cliff, and kind of like spread me in the air, like in the valley, or you throw me. Is that the correct word?
Yeah, you throw ashes.
Yeah, you throw my ashes in the river. Either you throw me in the river or you throw me in the air, but from a high point. Mm-hmm. Not like you go outside of your apartment and throw it in. No.
Just out the window, like, there you go.
No. Like, you have to go on a journey. You have to go on a journey to throw my ashes.
And you have to talk to me the whole time. Be like, oh, here we're going.
I would truly be happy. I wouldn't know what you did, but I'll be happy knowing that.
But maybe you would. You don't know.
Yes. I wouldn't know, but I would be happy thinking about the possibility of being thrown out from a cliff or thrown into a river. It's very peaceful to me.
Mm-hmm. Into an element of some sort.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I am obsessed with elements.
Yes, I know. All right. So finally, we're going to go with health. After talking about death, let's get ourselves a...
Talk about life.
We're talking about life. So,
how long are you gonna...
The question is, how is the general health of our listeners and ourselves going to be? Like, are we going to be healthy?
Yes.
Are we going to have what we need?
How will we
have another queen? This is interesting. We have the queen of, it says, it's cups.
You know what?
That? What's that say?
Chalices.
It can't, no, it's true. It's, oh yeah, that is an A. Thank you. Looks like an R. I've been seeing it as an R forever.
Yes.
Anyway,
so
the queen of chalices
or
is interesting. It's a card for the feeling of security, for compassion, for very feeling good. So maybe this has to do with the optimism we're going to be feeling this week.
Yeah.
So we're going to be feeling good. We're going to be feeling like we don't have to be afraid. And it's okay to feel that way, but we have to be mindful of that there's still a virus out there.
Yes, honey. Right? Don't forget that, honey.
We can't forget that not only is COVID still out there, but the flu is still out there. You can still get a cold.
There are so many diseases.
There are so many diseases. Even though we cannot live our life worrying about every single disease,
right,
we have to be proactive when it comes to preventing us from getting diseases that are easy to not get. Don't go stepping on any rusty nails. Don't go inhaling people's coughs. Don't go letting people just speak directly in your face. Take the necessary precautions that we probably should have been doing since the days that we were born.
Do anything that is against what the WHO is saying or the local health officials are saying. Don't do anything against their advice, basically.
That's the basic idea. Like, we have to tap into the little bit of common sense that we still have, because we're all tired. We're all desperate, but we have to remember that this situation isn't over, and it probably never will be over, to be honest. Like, we're going to be living in this kind of fear for a very long time, just waiting for whatever the next sickness is going to be. We're going to be on pins and needles for a very long time when it comes to our health. And we have to take a step back every now and then and remember that as long as we keep ourselves healthy and our immune system strong, we're going to be all right. And if you're sick, don't go breathing on people.
Yeah.
You know? That's just being a nice person. That's cool. I just pulled out a card because I felt like it, and I got the moon.
Nice.
The moon's always a nice card.
No.
The moon. Well, we know what the moon is. The moon is very calming. It's a very calming card.
Yes.
But it's when it's pulled out. I pulled it out in reverse. So it's a card of possible unhappiness, of fear, of feeling anxiety. So, like, these two together is probably our emotions. So we're going to be anxious, but a little overly hopeful that it's over, right? We're going to be paranoid for a very long time, unfortunately.
Yes. We are all in this together, and I know I've said this before, but really we are. Like, you are not suffering alone. I'm 100% sure that the person you're living with, your friends, your loved ones, they're all in this anxiety. And I know that it's doing a number on us. But as a society, as this species that we are, we've survived worse. Survived many, many worse things. And I'm sure that although it really does suck, we'll get through it.
Yeah, we'll get through this. And
we will have answers, and we will have what we deserve when this is all done and over with.
Yes. We don't know when. We don't know
when. Not exactly.
Yeah. We don't know. I pulled Temperance, which is the card of patience.
There you go.
So there's no end. There's only patience. Do what the health officials are telling you. Keep yourself safe. Keep others safe. And just be patient. We will get to a place where we'll be able to go to the movies again, where we'll be able to go and get your hair done whenever you want to get your hair done. We'll get there.
Yes.
So we just have to sit and wait. Practice those things they tried to teach you in kindergarten. You have to wait sometimes.
Yes, we definitely have to kind of sit through this, but at the same time, this is a great opportunity to work on things that you couldn't have if you were not home, if you were not with yourself. So I would really invite our listeners and our viewers to take on this opportunity to do all those things that you couldn't have done. And what they are, that's completely up to you. That's a very personal thing. And although you might get bored with it, it's okay to be bored. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to feel hopeless, but find that strength. When you felt all these feelings that makes you uncomfortable, after you go through all of that, you will find that strength that gives you that patience or whatever you need.
Mm-hmm.
You will find that strength, but that strength will only come after you let yourself feel these things.
Yes.
This frustration, confusion, over optimism, everything. Let them.
Let yourself feel your feelings.
Yes.
You need to feel it. You're feeling it for a reason. You need to feel it.
Yes. Don't be scared of your feelings. They'll not eat you. They're just feelings. I think it's only consequential when you act on them. Don't act on them. Just feel them.
Yes. Exactly. So, in the end, right now, we have to be attentive, we have to be proactive, and we have to be
Safe
safe
and balanced.
Safe and balanced. So these are the 4 things that we need for these coming probably 2-3 weeks.
Yes.
I think, honestly. So it's already the 21st of July.
Yes, it is.
And when recording this, and this year disappeared. But it's the beginning of a time of great change, and so we're feeling that, and we're going to be feeling it more and more and more. So just let yourself feel and allow whatever needs to be done emotionally to bring you to the whole person that you can be.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Let it happen, whatever it is. If you need to cry and punch a wall, pads to let that happen in a safe way are not that expensive. They're like $14. So go ahead and buy one of those.
You've done the research. I can see that.
Yes. Punching a wall hurts, but punching a wall with foam on it doesn't hurt.
Amazon.
Here's the link. But honestly, right now, there's a lot of energy. Like, I am not feeling drained this week, which is interesting.
Yes. We are heading into Leo energy. So you'll be feeling.
So I want to do things now. So that's interesting. So I don't know what to do with myself, which is kind of annoying. I didn't make plans for having energy this week.
Oh, yeah. Usually it's without, right?
Usually it's without. Like the past, 4 weeks? Just no energy or desire to do anything. And now it's like, I want to do things, but I don't know what.
Well, I think we've come to the end of this video.
Yes.
As Emma very aptly concluded that the keywords are, being patient, proactive, being balanced, and being safe, to really, really be grounded and inspired at the same time. So I completely agree with that. And I don't have anything else to add on to that. I think it's perfectly, it's a perfect conclusion. So what do you want to say in the end, Emma?
The same thing we say every episode, Shinjini. I will always be compassionate with you.
And you always be compassionate towards me.
Exactly. And we'll see everybody next topic video.